Welcome back to Vic's Projects, everyone. I hope everyone's all alright. This whole coronavirus thing is all pretty mad for everyone. And I've also just had my first son arrive, so my world has been pretty crazy at the minute, hence no videos for a while. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to take a little tour around all the cars that we've got and give you a little idea of what's going on. First car in the fleet is not a car and no longer in my fleet. So this van has actually been sold. It's gone to a friend of ours. They've been enjoying it, traveling all around the country, up over to Ireland. So I'm glad it's gone to a good home. So let's take a little look and see what the van was when we had it. So this is a 2006 Mercedes Vito converted to a day camper van. So we've got the bars on the roof for the surfboards. We've got plenty of storage, cooking and cleaning facilities. We've got rock and roll bed, obviously for staying over, and all in all I would really recommend the Vitos to anyone, much more over the VWs. You got a lot of scene tax. Yeah, they're okay vans, but actually the Mercedes, just a much nicer van to drive. They're quicker as well. 6 gears, 2.2 turbo diesel, just so easy, super cruisy. Speaking of cruisy, you got cruise control as well. So yeah, absolutely loved our time in this van. Unfortunately, with the little one that's arrived, it's just a bit too small. No pop top. I'm 6'3", so it was always a bit of a struggle for me anyway. So it was time to move this one on. And as I said before, it's gone to a lovely couple who have just been having a ball with it. So super glad that someone has taken it on and is really enjoying it. So from the camper van, it's on to our next modern car. The 2000 Jaguar XKR. So this is a 4-litre supercharged V8, super comfy to drive and blisteringly quick when you want to get a lick on. I absolutely love this car. It's such a nice place to be. It drives so well. And actually, if you look at the rear end, it's got some of the lines of the E-Type. I've done a few touch-up bits on it, stuff like the dash, some lacquer peel on the louvers, basic fluid maintenance, stuff like that. It is quite expensive to run though, so some repair bills have run quite high with the steering pump and alternator. That came in at £1,200. Not so much because the parts are that expensive, but actually because they had to pretty much disassemble the front of the car to get to them and change them. What else? O2 and NOx sensors, they came in at about £700. Yeah, so it is quite an expensive car to run, but then it's a lot of car for the money when you look at it overall. And as I said, it is just a pleasure to drive. We do have a few issues though, parking on the side of the road here. I don't have an extra garage for it to live in, which is a real shame. And driving into cars seems to be a national sport around here. So yeah, a few bumps and blemishes, which on a car that you're trying to keep nice, it's so annoying. But yeah, now with the arrival of the little one, this guy has got to go. So it was for a time the only car that we actually could fit a car seat in. Not a very practical car to put a car seat in, but it did work. But now that we've got the new dad wagon, which we'll go and have a look at next, this guy has got to go. So if I'm going to replace a camper van and a Jaguar with something, it's going to be something nice. So of course, a Mercedes Estate. Don't tell the wife, I'm not selling this. So this is a 2016 C350E, also known as the ultimate company car tax dodge. Not that I bought it as a company car. So this is a petrol hybrid. So it does about, at a push, 10 miles on the battery range, which is kind of a joke, but actually for my use case, it's absolutely perfect. Because the most things we do is knock around town, which is a handful of miles, or we travel 350 miles or 200 miles, in which case the electric car doesn't really stack up because you're starting to get into that range of, well, it just doesn't want to do it, or you're going to have to stop and charge part way. So this has a 2-litre turbocharged engine that produces about 280 horsepower and then a 100 horsepower electric motor to complement that. So actually, when you want to get a lick on, it does the job pretty well. Not quite as good as the XKR, it's a lot bigger, a lot heavier, but actually as a modern car, it doesn't half go and is lovely and refined to drive. We've got plenty of space in the back for the little boy, much more than the XKR, so the wife's happy. And I absolutely love this interior. I was really dead set on getting the cream interior. I might regret that with the little one, but for now, I'm very happy. I've only had the car a few weeks now, but actually as a thing to drive, it's super easy, really refined, really comfortable. And you just know that that means the suspension's going to be very expensive when it goes wrong. So that's it for the modern cars. What about the two classics, I hear you ask? And the first one we're going to look at is the Mark I Toyota MR2, which we use as a track day car. And she's not looking too happy at the moment. So the reason being, we actually had a big leak on this bulkhead. So there was two big rust holes that came from the central drain that runs underneath the windshield. Unfortunately, they have to get to it from both sides. Right pain in the ass. We didn't fancy doing it, so we gave it to a man, paid a man some money. It's come back now, so the next job, well, today's job, is to get this all back in. I won't do a video on that, we're short on time. It's just reassembling interiors, it's not that exciting. But something that could be quite exciting is we have some new toys to play with. Oh, they're quite heavy. I might do a video on those. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. So installing coilovers into a Mark I MR2, setting it all up, going out on the track, seeing how it performs. Yeah, so from here, it's on to the next one. So where are we with the Mark II, I hear you ask, as this is the one that you guys seem to enjoy the most. Well, my main focus at the minute is actually getting this car back together and back on the road. And I'm about halfway through filming that episode, so you'll just have to wait a little bit longer for that one. Well, after we've done that, what's next, I hear you ask? Well, the keen-eyed among you would notice that there's a couple of little teasers in some of the other videos. I think after we've done that, I might have a little play in the engine bay. But hey, you guys tell me, right down in the comments, what sort of stuff do you want to see next? Now there's one more vehicle in the fleet. Well, half a vehicle really. So up next is the Moto Compo. And I guess the first question you're going to ask is, Vic, where the hell are you? Well, if having a son and a world pandemic wasn't enough, we decided to move house as well. So this is actually my new shed. It's the shed that I can actually stand up in. I know, shock horror, compared to our little tiny tin shed that we had before. So don't worry, there'll be a separate video on setting up this shed, especially for those who've been interested in the Powerwall project. There will be some upgrades and kitting this out in that video. But back to our Moto Compo. Seeing as we knew that we were going to be moving, I didn't particularly want to start stripping this apart, having it in 1,000 bits to then get moved from one house to the other. So this guy's been on the back burner. However, for those who have been watching and following this series, we had a bit of an issue on the swing arm that we were making for this in terms of the rigidity in the brazing that we did. So actually, I've been out to a local company and got a grown-up to do some welding for me. So this guy's all TIG welded up professionally because it's aluminium. I can't do it with just the MIG welder that I have access to. So that's really exciting. That's one job ticked off the list. But now that we're in here and starting to get a bit more time, we can actually start taking this guy apart. Super pleased that I've got the racking now that I can store all the bits and pieces as opposed to having 1,000 components spread to the wind. But yeah, really looking forward to getting this guy started again. Well, I say started again, the project started again. Speaking of starting, this guy doesn't actually work at the moment. So the videos that you've seen before, there was a slight cheat on some of that. It was running really badly. And the clips that you saw was like the few fractions of time that it was actually working. I think there's something wrong with maybe the ignition or the fueling system. But seeing as we're going to take it apart and convert it to electric, for those that didn't know, then there wasn't much point sorting out some old two-stroke stuff that nobody knows what it's actually made of, because they only made a handful of these in Japan. So that's the update. As you can see, we've got lots of cool stuff for us to work on, and now life is starting to settle out a bit and get a little bit less manic. I can start putting time back into actually doing the projects that I love, and making some cool YouTube content for you guys to follow on with me. So hopefully it won't be too long until the next video's out. But from Vix Projects, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.